Welcome to Liberal Banter with Liz and Olu. This week we're going to be talking about the clown car that is the Trump administration and his proposed cabinet. We're also going to be talking about some news that may change how you grocery shop in the future. And no, it's not about tariffs. Thanks for joining us this week. So, Olu, let's start with the main story, really, this week, which has been all of the shenanigans and nonsense and shakeups, let's say, that have been happening with Trump's cabinet picks, even though they're not even in office yet.
Yeah, I mean, the last 2 weeks has just been a look into the absolute ridiculousness and just comical nonsense that we have to look forward to for the next 4 years. So we're calling this the clown car cabinet because the Trump campaign literally put out that, Susan Wiles is going to be Trump's, chief of staff, and she's going to curb his excesses and stop him from, having all of the clowns in the White House.
Sure.
Which, all of the other chief of staffs of Trump could have told her that that's never going to happen. And he immediately proved her wrong with some of the proposed folks he wants to put in his cabinet right now.
Matt Gaetz for Attorney General. Thankfully, that's done.
Yes. Apparently, when Mitch McConnell wants to get a rapist out of the running for a public post, he can do that.
He can. I didn't know that. I wasn't sure Republicans had a line. But even then, there's still some sketchy people left.
That's true.
Let's talk about them. Let's talk about the most egregious ones.
Exactly. This is the thing. It's what? Less than a minute into this podcast and we already have to talk about the multiple sexual assault and sexual misconduct, allegations against the members of the Trump administration.
Which is just so fascinating to me, because wasn't that one of the things Trump voters said? They were voting because they had all these ridiculous rumors about Democrats and Joe Biden being predators, and then Trump's announcing his cabinet, and guess who's in there? A bunch of predators. Literally everything they accuse Democrats of doing, they are the ones actually doing. It's just, It's fascinating. But let's start with, I think we should start with RFK Jr., previous topic on the podcast.
Yes.
Let's start with him, because his seems like just, I don't even know.
So he, like every gross dad you've ever come across, every creepy dad you've ever come across, he perved on his babysitter, essentially. He would ask her to give him back rubs. He would show up in her room, and eventually he cornered her and groped her.
Oh, that's disgusting. Ew.
I mean, yeah,
wow.
It's just. And the problem is that when he was asked about this, he said that he's not a saint and that he cannot rule out that there are many more other stories out there. This guy's just I'm not a saint. I may have done that, and I cannot rule out that there are other people that have been essentially a creep too. And this is the guy that. People thought this guy should be president, right? It's insane.
Yeah. I can't understand his first. It seems like his first big thing is going to be the fluoride in the water, and then the fast food, which is hilarious. Because did you see that picture that Trump made him take on the plane where he's holding the McDonald's? And
yes,
on the private jet with Trump and Trump Jr. and I forget who else was there. I saw that picture and thought it was hilarious because a couple of days before that, RFK Jr. was talking about how they're going to hold fast food companies to task and put them to task. And then 2 days later, because, when you're with Trump, you're basically his B word, his bitch.
Right.
He is posing with a McDonald's burger looking extremely uncomfortable Very uncomfortable. And then he wants to like meet with the fast food execs to talk to them about seed oils. I'm just like, bro, no. Their biggest customer is your boss. I don't think this is going to work out the way you think it is.
Okay, but this is the thing. To be clear, there is like nothing wrong with, eating McDonald's once in a while. Unfortunately, a lot of people in America cannot like afford, like fresh goods and like, well-prepared meals, right? Like this is a thing that we just have to acknowledge. Right. But because
but he's not trying to solve that issue. Right.
Exactly.
He's just going after the execs and the companies that make the food. And he's just like, I don't understand the plan. I don't understand the plan. Can HHS tell McDonald's what oil to use for their fries? I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
But this is the problem, right? He is not qualified in any way to tell you what the nutritional value of like seed oils are. There are lots of things that could be improved in our foods and in our diets and in our environment, right? But people like RFK Jr., it's like sloganeering, right? They just paint everything as big pharma, big oil, big GMO. Like this is fear mongering. There's nothing wrong with seed oils in general, as long as you're not like actually allergic to them.
Exactly.
Like, people have been eating peanut oil since forever. It's fine. Yeah. But I don't.
Like, is this the big thing that we need to focus on right now as a nation?
Exactly. But it appeals to a certain type of person. And I have to say, actually, some of those types of persons are liberals, where they're just like,
yeah, of course,
super granola to the point of stupidity. I'm sorry.
The almond moms, those people. Yeah.
It's just like, no, like, things can be natural and also poisonous, and things can be natural and be like medicinal and actually like be scientific. Like just make like informed decisions and don't just like listen to people who tell you everything is poison.
Well, I am curious. So what are your thoughts on the fluoride thing? I ask because it seems like there are towns already that are removing fluoride from their water. With no push from the government, they're just deciding to do that. I don't know if people know this, but this has been tried before. There was a town in Oregon that tried this and removed the fluoride for their water. And it was great for the dentists in the area. Lots of increase in childhood dental issues. So I don't know if that's going to be a nationwide thing, but it sounds like that's the other thing RFK Jr. wants to focus on is fluoride in the water.
But again, right, like people keep saying they want less government and they vote for people who actually want to force more government on them. Because to be clear, the CDC does not make every town fluoridate their water. They just recommend a certain level, right? And then every town makes a decision with their own public health officials on what they want to do, right? So like Republicans keep pushing this narrative of big government where it doesn't exist. The CDC doesn't like fine anybody for not having fluoride in their water. They do not arrest anybody for not having fluoride in their water. It's a recommendation because the CDC is like the doctor for the entire nation. Like I'm just like, I'm trying not to lose my mind because this is the problem when we just like fear mongering. Everybody is afraid. Life is difficult. We're all trying to find out ways to like make our lives healthier. And we tend to fall for snake oils men who tell us like, oh, it's just a fluoride and it's a big government conspiracy to put fluoride in your water and turn you into a cancer patient. And this is literally not what is happening.
It's not. And I don't know why this anti-science movement continues to thrive. You know, many people thought it was because of the pandemic, right? COVID with the masks and the hand washing and the spraying bleach on your vegetables. People were upset, but it seems to be a continuing move away from science supported, policy, and we're moving towards this vibe based way of doing things, right? So like the fluoride thing, like I mentioned, there have been towns that have removed fluoride from their water. For example, I don't know if people know this, but Portland, Oregon, I believe, does not have fluoride in its water. And the dentists there say you can see it. They see an increase. There's more cavities in that area than in other parts of the country. And you can actually tell, the dentists there say they can tell when someone grew up in Portland or in one of the towns outside Portland that has fluoride in its water. I just think there is a move to do things because the internet says it's bad, or your favorite influencer says it's bad, like RFK Jr. We're not looking at any of the science because people are against doctors and scientists now for whatever reason. And let's just say it's because of COVID. I don't know where we're going as a nation. This feels like the kind of thing that pushes too close to Idiocracy, the movie, right?
Yeah.
It's like we've had fluoride in the water for decades. American teeth have never looked better. And now all of a sudden we want to roll that back because we're too comfortable. It's like the raw milk people, We've
Another thing that RFK Jr. actually advocates, right?
Exactly. We've had pasteurized milk for centuries. Nobody is dying from, food poisoning due to milk. And now all of a sudden, y'all want to do raw milk because, you're too
they
comfortable with pasteurization.
They want to make Listeria great again. That's what they want to do.
Exactly. My favorite part is the people who tell you, oh, I get my raw milk and then I boil it because I don't like all that pasteurization stuff. And it's like, girl.
But that is pasteurization.
Exactly. So you aren't pasteurizing your milk. Like, what is going on? I'm telling you, man, this actually is a perfect segue into another sort of department issue in Trump's cabinet, because we as a nation need to open the schools. I've been saying that this entire election. I'm saying it, continue to say it after. We need to open the schools. If you don't know that pasteurization is boiling milk, which you are doing, we need to open the schools.
But this is the counterpoint, right? Like, Republicans have spent the last 4 or 5 years demonizing teachers, claiming that teachers are brainwashing the kids, right? And turning them trans. Like, we're literally attacking every single pillar of society that keeps the society going. We're attacking health. We're attacking teachers. We're attacking foods. Like, we're just finding bogeymen everywhere.
We're attacking books. Yeah. It's everything.
Books, apparently just having any modicum of intelligence makes you an enemy of the state.
Yep.
It's insane.
And that is what's happening with Trump's cabinet. That's what's happening with his cabinet picks. Because the other thing he did was pick a Fox News guy for defense, which also has his own essay allegations. His are even more egregious than RFK Jr.'s because he's accused of full-on rape, which Republicans have actually been twisting themselves into pretzels to defend. I saw one of the senators, I think it was Mark Wayne Mullins from Ohio, not from Ohio, from Oklahoma, right? I don't know where that dude is from. He was saying that he thought that when he read the police report of the Hegseth rape, he thought it was just flirting.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
So, those are the people Trump is surrounding himself with. And in a military which has its issues with women being assaulted, should the person in charge of that department be someone who is accused of doing such a horrible crime? That doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me.
The last few weeks just underscores the hypocrisy and lack of cognitive coherence on anything coming from the right about their values, and even coming from people who consider themselves center, like Bill Maher, like, and I know this is the second episode where I'm shitting on this guy, but like, I can't stand that particular type of person who pretends to like, oh, I'm just observing here, I'm just like an objective person. Because these folks have told us that Me Too has gone too far, right? Republicans and men on the right will say, oh, you can't even compliment a woman anymore. You can't even like, flirt with a woman anymore. Apparently, groping women is flirting now, right? And then they convinced people that Me Too has gone too far, right? That wokeism has gone too far. And that's why you should vote against Democrats. And then within 2 weeks of voting in Trump, who is also credibly accused and found liable of rape and sexual assault, he immediately nominates 3 different people who have sexual assault, sexual harassment, sexual misconduct, including contacts with a minor against them. And this is the reality, right? Like, we've spent the last several years in a fake world where people like Bill Maher convince us that, wokeism went too far, Me Too went too far, all of this nonsense they say went too far. And the direct evidence is that it didn't, because like we have a president, we're about to have a Secretary of Defense, we're about to have a HHS secretary, all of whom have been accused of sexual misconduct. So
don't forget Elon. Don't forget Elon with DOGE. Don't forget that.
Like,
right.
Just so like everywhere you look, and don't take my word for it. Take Marjorie Taylor Greene's word for it, because in a moment of like sheer madness, right?
Oh,
she actually said, "Oh yeah, like." If you want to attack Matt Gaetz for, sexual assault or sexual misconduct allegations, well, let's open the files because all of you here are also accused of sexual misconduct. That's insane.
It's also
This
insane.
is an insane world.
It's insane because where are the QAnon people? Isn't this the thing they've been looking for years? Haven't we been told for years there's a cabal in D.C.? It looks like it's there, and it's the Republicans. Why aren't they going after them? Why aren't y'all up in arms talking about this? The people who were leaving comments on every Kamala Harris post talking about Diddy and somehow trying to tie her to P. Diddy's white parties and stuff like that. Where are all of you, right? You've been told there's evidence this is happening in D.C. and it's Republicans. Silence. Radio silence. That's just, it's insane to me how values that they feel so strongly about these things until the Tuesday in November after their candidate wins. And then all of a sudden it doesn't matter anymore. Oh, it was in the past. 2017 for Pete Hegseth, that was 7 years ago. Let's not talk about that.
Exactly. That was 3-4 years after Me Too. And it clearly didn't do anything to stop him from committing the act or allegedly committing the act. And doesn't look like it's going to do anything to stop him from being Secretary of Defense. Right? And we keep having these fake capitulations by people who call themselves Democrats and liberals when people make this false accusations against Democrats like, oh, you're just alienating men. No, we're just asking men not to pay 17-year-olds for sex. That's not wokeism.
It's not.
It's
just basic human decency.
Exactly.
It's just basic logic, basic human decency. It's been a couple of weeks, let's say. I know we took a little break and after the election and our post-election episode, and it's just been fascinating to watch all of this unfold, in broad daylight. And suddenly nobody knows, nobody has principles anymore. People went from, oh, I don't think the man should be in cabinet to, oh, well, it was a long time ago. And, maybe the victim is lying. That's where we are now in the cycle of news. It's unfortunate. And also leads us to, again, because we talked about Elon. Let's talk about Elon and his department. I think before we talked about this episode, we did say we have talked about Elon quite a bit on this podcast. And I say quite a bit compared to other billionaires. We've talked about Elon. We don't really talk about billionaires here, but he's one we've talked about quite a bit because it seems like he's going to be Trump's first lady. That's what it feels like is happening. He's going to be standing right by his man as they take on the White House, at least until they have a big blow up publicly, because I feel like that's coming. I mean, their personalities are so similar. There's no way they can actually work together peacefully. It's only a matter of time. But Elon and Vivek Ramaswamy are going to be leading the Department of Government Efficiency, which, if you've been living under a rock and you don't know, the initials of that department spell DOGE, DOGE, because it's being run by 14-year-olds. And they are tasked with, as the name says, government efficiency. None of these two men have had any government experience beyond, paying for election campaigns. But now they've been given the task of driving down costs in the government, driving down spending in the government. And like every good business person who learns this in Business 101, how do you cut expenses? What are expenses? It's by firing people and laying off people. And that's what they're planning to do. That's what they're going to treat the government the way a PE firm treats a company it acquired with a leveraged buyout. They're going to do a bunch of layoffs and then see what happens. And Elon and Vivek don't really seem to have a plan for how they're going to do that. But they have decided they need to hire people. It's got to be hard for Elon. He's running, 600 companies? Now he has this government job, too. It's so hard to be him. So they posted a job that they wanted to hire super high IQ, small government revolutionaries who are willing to work 80-plus hours a week on the unglamorous job of cost cutting. So, Olu, will you be applying for the job?
I just have a question. I'm stuck on the super IQ part. How are they measuring that?
Thank you for asking. I'm glad you asked. That's a great question. First of all, to submit an application, you have to DM the Doge account on Twitter. And you can only DM the Doge account if you have premium Twitter, which is $7 a month or $84 a year. So one of the requirements for being high IQ is having a paid Twitter account. There you go.
Where you're paying directly to increase Elon Musk's billions by even more billions.
Yes. Having $84 a month is one of the $84 a year is one of the prerequisites for having a high IQ, it seems.
This is like alpha male brain on steroids. You know, when people say stuff like super IQ, it's just like Joe Rogan nonsense. It doesn't it doesn't make any sense.
No, afraid not.
What are the qualifications for this job? Well, you have to be super IQ. That doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't. And it's so interesting to me because these are two men who arguably became successful without having to jump through the number of hoops that a lot of other people have had to. And for them to be in charge of deciding which government employees, for example, get to keep their jobs is hilarious. I mean, let's say we are not clear on whether or not this department will have any real authority to tell, I don't know, let's say the Department of the Treasury or whatever, to fire people. We don't actually know what power they're going to have. But, they're Republicans, so they'll figure it out. They'll figure out a way to get around whatever rules are in place. But, again, it's like another plan that Trump has that we don't know if it makes any sense. We don't know if it's going to happen. But it looks like they're on their way to making these cuts. And I wonder if you're a government employee who voted for Trump, how do you feel right now? Because your job is potentially on the chopping block.
Yep. And about 2 million people are employed by the federal government, right? Directly employed. And then the federal government is the largest employer in many ways because like the funding from the federal government goes to like federal contractor jobs. There are a lot of people who have companies that work for the federal government. The federal government, technically would give like local towns, funding to like build their roads and things like that. So if you cut the Department of, Transportation and, you are regular Joe in Springfield, Ohio, well, guess what? Springfield, Ohio might not get the money needed for roads, and now you don't have a job, like, helping to build the infrastructure in your town, right? Like this is this is the consequences of what people vote for. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, at least hopefully the eggs will be cheaper, right? You may be unemployed, but hopefully the eggs will be cheaper. I mean, I think one of the things that's fascinating to me about DOGE and people who support this government cut is people, for example, don't seem to know that like 66% or so of the government spending every year is mandatory. And it's things like Social Security and Medicare that millions of Americans rely on.
Yep.
And the discretionary spending, the one that, they don't have to do, but they do, the one you could potentially cut is defense, which, again, do Republicans want us cutting the Defense Department? Because, I mean, we can do that. Do we need another stealth bomber? I don't know. But then if you start cutting discretionary spending, that's where you start talking about federal contractors. Like if you're a Lockheed or a Boeing, do you want Elon cutting defense spending? If you're employed at those companies, do you want them? Like, it's a never-ending just path we can go down about the many reasons why DOGE is a stupid idea. And it seems even the Republicans know this, and Trump knows this, because the thing that people are kind of glossing over with DOGE is technically they only have a, quote, mandate until summer of 2026. So this is not like a permanent department. Elon and Vivek have 18 months or so to get their, quote unquote, work done. Do we think they're going to get any of it done? I don't know. These are all the fun questions we get to see the answers to in this second Trump term.
Yep. And again, people kept telling us that Trump is for the working class, and then he immediately created a non-existent department that employed one billionaire and another fake, aspiring billionaire. And people on the street actually believe that these are the people who care about the price of eggs in their cupboards, in their fridges.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, and I will say we're going to keep talking about eggs. You're going to hear a lot about the eggs because that is what everyone told us was the reason they voted for Trump. So we will continue to go back to that, okay? Prepare to be sick of us. Every week you're going to hear a reference to eggs. I want to know how it's going to go. And so far, let's be honest, all the stuff that Trump has announced this first few weeks after winning, zero impact on the price of eggs. So we're still waiting.
But do you know what has increased? Dogecoin's value has increased. So
yes, Tesla's value has gone up. Even companies that make fluoride tablets, because there's an expectation that people will soon have to buy fluoride and add it themselves so that their teeth are fine. So all the Wall Street investor people are having a great time. Eggs are still $200 a dozen. So.
Yeah, and shout out to all the dentists.
Oh yeah! Oh my God! Yes. Oh, thank you. Those are the upper middle class people that are seeing potential increase. I'm happy for them. And then speaking of being middle class, upper middle class, grocery shopping. Speaking of eggs, I am so excited by this next topic, because it is something that I think a lot of people are going to have very, very mixed opinions on, and it's AI digital shopping carts. They're coming to a store near you, maybe. And I say maybe because this is an Instacart product, and in my experience, not everything that Instacart hypes up ends up being a thing. So I don't know how widespread this is going to be, but it could be coming to what was the grocery store? Price Chopper.
Yes, there's
Price
a price chopper in my neighborhood, and apparently they're going to be rolling this out across the nation soon.
Exciting.
So
Very exciting.
this shopping cart is supposed to do everything. It's supposed to check out your groceries for you. It's supposed to, give you coupons while you're checking out. And you can see how this is going to cut a lot of jobs just looking into like what it's meant to do. And I don't know who asked for this. I know
Yes.
that my experience with the self-checkout line is always frustrating. It has never gone well. It's either like the tapping doesn't work or, the grocery tag was not like the correct one. The poor, minimum wage person still has to come and rescue me and the 7 other idiots behind me who don't know how to use a self-checkout line. And I don't understand how this is going to make things any better. In fact, I can only see it making things worse. Imagine being in an aisle, standing beside somebody who is yelling at their shopping cart.
You're like, God damn it.
And you're trying to reach around them to get the eggs. Eggs
the
again.
$200 egg. Listen, I can already tell this is going to be a problem. Because when you first told me about this, my first question was, what is Price Chopper? Because I have never heard of this grocery chain. I don't know if you guys know this, but we live on opposite coasts. I'm in Safeway Kroger land. Olu is apparently near Price Chopper, which maybe Kroger, I don't know. It's like one big conglomerate that owns all the grocery stores in America. But I had never heard of Price Chopper. And you explained to me that it's a a more affordable, like discounted grocery store, kind of like an Aldi. Yes, which perfect. I got that context. My question is, what do you think happens to a company like Price Chopper when they have to start paying engineers hundreds of thousands of dollars to program shopping carts? What do you think that does to the prices at Price Chopper?
It raises the prices,
Exactly.
and they end up firing all of the lovely working class people who keep that grocery store open.
That's what I think. That's what I think as well. This seems to me like a great way for Price Chopper to move themselves into the, quote, futuristic grocer category and justify the $200 eggs. That's what I heard. I'm like, this sounds like a cool idea. I see the benefit. Maybe it's more convenient for people who are comfortable using self-checkout, who are not Olu, But for most
I don't know why I'm
people,
being shaded.
You said you're the one who's like you. I mean, I don't. I'm gonna be honest. I do grocery store pickups, so I don't remember the last time I scanned items at the checkout. So, boo-hoo. But on a serious note, I think there's some benefit here. I do also think, given what happens when technology gets introduced to an industry that doesn't really use it, there's going to be job cuts. Prices are going to go up. It's just a matter of time, right? This company, this Price Chopper, it looks like they're based in Kansas or Kansas City. I don't think they are doing this for fun and efficiency reasons only. This is going to be the reason they jack up their prices. It's just a matter of time. It's like Red Lobster. That new CEO of theirs, he's out there telling you he's going to revamp the company. He's going to paint the walls a different color, put new light bulbs in, change the ambiance. Yeah, so they can charge more for lobster. That's usually why companies do stuff like this. So watch out, Price Chopper shoppers.
I'm just saying, as a consumer, I don't think that this is going to make my life any better. In fact, I think it's going to make things worse. First of all, can we stop with the touch screen everything? I don't know why my cart needs a touch screen.
Agreed.
I'm sick of it, right? And I already know there's going to be some poor grandma just trying to buy, I don't know, baby formula for a grandkid. She's not going to be able to figure out the cart. And then what the company is going to do is they're going to hire maybe 2 to 3 people on the floor. And then those people will have to be running around helping like the hundreds of people every day who can figure out how like this bullshit works, right? Like
and maintaining
it doesn't
the carts.
help anybody.
Yeah,
and maintaining the
cart
carts. Like, this doesn't help anybody. It makes employees more miserable. It doesn't improve the consumer experience. The only people that it helps are, the engineers that are doing this. I don't see how this helps anybody.
Well, you have to let us know what happens when you first go in and use an AI card. I assume there's going to be like a transition period where, the normal cards will still be available. And maybe eventually, if this turns out to be a quote unquote good thing, they will swap all the normal cards out for the digital ones. So I got to know how this goes because
I will let you know when they roll it out in my local price shop.
Please let us know. I really want to know. Do you know what I'm envisioning? I'm just envisioning a store full of people just yelling at their carts. Now that you've said
exactly.
that, I'm just envisioning that. I'm like people trying to tap the touchscreen, which usually is going to be like the cheapest option for touchscreens they have, so it won't be comfortable to use. The scanning not working because the label is wrong. You scan something, it doesn't recognize it. You put it in your cart, and it's like, please remove item because the weight changed. I can't wait. Can't wait. Let us know how it goes.
Again, like this is what happens when we like let people with like video game brain dictate our lives. Like not everything has to be gamified, right? Like not everything has to be like this, I don't know, technology quest to like the least human interaction possible, right? And I believe some European countries are actually starting to take away self-checkout lines because like it's not helpful. I don't understand why we have to turn the entire world into this hellscape where everybody's just doing everything they can to not talk to a single human being in any part of their day. It's insane.
Well, that's a good point. I do think technology has its uses. I don't want us to sound like we're anti-tech. That's not it. It's just there are some spaces where I think it's being applied inefficiently and incorrectly and not for the right reasons. I would argue digital shopping carts are one of those places. But I don't want to be a hater. Let's see how it goes, Olu. Let us know.
Yeah,
Let us know.
But I think you were also telling me about the digital tags and how they might use it for surge pricing.
Yes, that's true. That's true, yes. The other innovation in grocery shopping, we'll call it, that may be coming to a store near you is digital price tags. So, when you go to the store and you look at the shelf and they have those paper tags that say what's on sale or they tell you the price of your cereal or whatever, some grocers are debating replacing those paper printouts with digital readouts. And the reason for that, again, being a business, is so they can change pricing for items really quickly without needing someone to go print out a new price tag, slide it in, because they want to do things like surge pricing. So let's say, I don't know, Thanksgiving surge pricing, time to jack up the price of the cranberry sauce, that sort of thing. So, more innovation, more tech that nobody really asked for. I think Kroger is the brand that's trying to do that. They're going to say, it's about, I don't know, saving the time of the retail worker so they don't have to go swap out tags. They're going to push it as an efficiency thing. But the reality is it's going to let them charge more for things because they can respond much quicker to increases in demand for something. So another digital innovation potentially coming to a grocery store near you. We just wanted to share, Thanksgiving is coming up. Maybe you're going grocery shopping. It might look different in a few years.
Yep. And we encourage people to remember who is making your prices go up. Again,
no,
believing that the government is responsible for the prices of your things.
Because what's going to happen is Trump is going to text Kroger and be like, guys, don't jack up the prices for the cranberry sauce in November. That's crazy. And Kroger's going to be like, actually, you know what, Trump, you're right. Let's not do that. And the cranberry sauce will stay the same price. The end. That's what's going on.
It's like I love the fairy tale voice when you were reading it. Like a storybook.
Once upon a time in a land far, far away. Yeah, again, I'm glad we are in this space where we can like laugh about these things, but I know I'm not going to be laughing if in a year I go to get eggs and they are $200. I'm just saying, y'all, we are in for a ride. We are in for a ride.
All right, that's all from us, folks. If you enjoyed this episode, please do share with your family and friends. As always, you can find us on Threads, Blue Sky, and TikTok at Liberal Banter. You can also find us on our website, liberalbanter.com. We're going to be taking a break for Thanksgiving. We encourage you to do the same. Bye-bye.